Third is Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it, makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Red hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Deep to right field. Way and second
Welcome back to the Stupid Money Podcast. It's been an eventful 3 weeks, but I don't know, a lot's happened, but in a way, a lot hasn't happened because the Phillies have been 500 since we last spoke. So now they sit at 25 and 28. They were 16 and 19 the last time we did this. I don't know. Some good, a lot of bad in there too. Right after we spoke, they won 4 more games. They swept Toronto in a 2-game series, took the first 2 out in Colorado, and then they were kind of really bad after that for a little bit. This team cannot win in San Francisco, no matter how bad the talent disparity is between the two teams. There is something going on there. And then it's kind of been 500 ball since then. Recently just split a 4-game series with the Braves, which was nice, but overall it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah. It seems like they can't win in San Francisco. We kind of got knock on wood because we haven't played them yet this year, but like last year, the whole thing was beat the bad teams, mostly like the Marlins. Feels like we always struggle with the Marlins. Now we did pretty well against them last year. It seems like that kind of hex or vendetta is over the Giants and the Diamondbacks, who are kind of also in this stretch that, for the most part, aside from one inning in the last game, they kind of manhandled us for 3 games. But yeah, I don't know. They're just not playing like a good brand of baseball yet, which is they're kind of in the same spot they were last year, like a little bit better of a record. It just seems like the brand that they're playing is worse. Like the at bats are substantially worse. I feel it's just so inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go over like the 5 things I think are killing them the most right now, but I'll just kind of get into it, I guess, because you brought up the at bats. I mean, Schwarber has 13 home runs. He's hitting 161, something around there. Like it's ridiculously bad. Trey Turner's in the 240s, although he's looked a little better recently. He's a slow starter, but the slow start for him, I think he had a career like 270 average in May. So this is even like way below that. So I can't even say it's that. I don't know what it is. Those 2 bad. And then there was that stat that Stott and Turner, they have like the lowest OPS for 1-2 hitters, and they also are 1 and 2 in the National League in 0-2 counts, which it's crazy. Just think the 2 of those guys at the top of the lineup would get on base more and produce. And Stott's hitting the ball a lot. He's not walking a ton, and right now Turner is not Trey Turner, and it's leading to Bryce Harper, who's been pretty good since coming back, just coming up with 2 outs and no one on.
Yeah, the whole argument with when Harper was coming back was whether like what you kind of do with Schwarber in the lineup as far as where do you put him, and everybody was like, oh, there's no sense in having him hit leadoff because nobody's like on base for his home runs in front of him, so you should move him down in the lineup. Well, you move him down in the lineup, still nobody, like now it's Harper at 3 and Schwarber at 5, but still nobody's getting on base in front of them just because the walk percentages are like astronomically low. Like I know you and I, we kind of hate on Hoskins a lot as far as just how he is as a hitter, but they can desperately use just him in the middle of that lineup or even at the top and let him kind of hit even second and just walk in front of the bigger guys in the middle of the lineup just so they have somebody on base that they could potentially drive in.
Yeah, they are lacking that. I still think Trey Turner is going to snap out of this. I just think he's too good of a hitter for this to be what he is. I know there's the whole, is he like Castellanos last year? The pressure of the big contract, the new city, the kind of, pushing themselves a little too hard when Harper was out, like Castellanos did last year when Harper was out. I don't know. I think he's going to get out of it. We'll see. June is here too for Schwarber. So it can't get much worse for him. I was looking in the last 30 games, he has 13 hits. 8 of them are home runs. So
something with Turner that I feel like is like 90% of his problem is like as a major leaguer, you want to hit, or just at any level really, but especially in the majors when velocity is so prevalent. Like you want to hit off the fastball, and kind of everything in the at bat stems from a fastball. According to Baseball Savant, he is literally the worst hitter in the league on four-seam fastballs. His run value is -12. His slash line on four-seam fastballs alone, he's batting 148 with a 199 weighted on base average and a 269 slug with a 28% whiff rate. Like that's absurdly bad. And that's just causing all of his problems because he's expecting to get fastballs early in the count and jump on them. And then he's just flailing at sliders. And then they're kind of pitching him backwards almost, where they're starting him off with off speed and he's guessing wrong. So then he's down 0-2 immediately because he chased 2 bad pitches and he's trying to protect. And then even low velocity fastballs, whether it's 93 or 94, are just by him. So he's just guessing wrong instead of reacting. And that's just his biggest issue right now, I think.
Yeah, that's why I liked when he hit the home run against the Diamondbacks. It was just first pitch, really confident swing. He didn't let himself get in that hole, and that was nice to see. But it kind of went away from that then in the Atlanta series. It didn't really carry over that much to an extent. So yeah, he's got to get going. Schwarber has to get going. But honestly, to me, though, like they're still okay regardless of how bad those guys have been. Like I don't think they're the main reason why they're losing. It's been more the starting pitching.
Oh, definitely.
Zach Wheeler, I think, is back. Had 8 scoreless innings with 12 Ks against the Braves on Saturday. His best start of the season by far. I think he's fine. I'm not worried there anymore. I think he's back on track. Noel, on the other hand, really bad. Really bad. ERA 4.5, I think, might even be a little north of that. Yeah, it is north of that. It's 4.59. He's not striking as many guys out as he was. He has only 60 strikeouts in 68 innings, which is kind of low for him. And he's given up a lot of home runs. I mean, he gave up 4 in that Atlanta game, I think. Yeah. Really bad. Just not. He's going deeper into games. I've noticed that, but he's given up a ton of runs there. He's like efficiently giving up runs, which is weird.
Yeah, my thing with Nola is he's always been kind of a touch and feel pitcher. Like he's not going to overpower you, and he's so reliant on location, and especially with that 2-seamer that he runs off the front hip to lefties, and it's like he's been very good locating in the past. This year, not so much, but in the past when he's missed his location, it's still been like 93, 94, where you can miss bats with run. Now when he's missing his location, it's center cut 89. You're not going to miss any bats with that. So now it just seems like his velocity's down while he's not a power pitcher with how he wants to pitch. When your velocity is even lower than it already is to begin with, your margin for error as far as missing your location is even less. And that's his biggest issue right now, I think.
Yeah, the velocity's down. I don't know how much of this has to do with the deep playoff run last year. I'm assuming some of it. It seems like Wheeler snapped out of it. It's kind of time he does the same, I think.
I feel like since we've had Wheeler too, he's always been kind of, whether he's, a lot of time it's because he's been hurt or had like last year he was hurt to start. But
Right.
it just seems like he doesn't really get into a groove until it starts to get like late May, early summer. That's when he starts to pitch at his best. Um, so I wasn't overly concerned with him, but just the way that Nola started, I feel like it was kind of telling of what his season was going to be like.
Yeah, it does feel that way. Ranger Suarez has come back since we last talked, and he's been bad too. His first game back against the Cubs, well, he didn't even get out of the first inning, right? No, he did. Did he keep
His,
pitching after he got lit up? I
I
can't remember now. That was
I
so
think,
long ago.
well, his first start in Colorado, he was okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. That was his first start. Yeah, in Colorado. That's why I mixed up. But got lit up by the Cubs after that.
Yeah, he was bad.
Oh, yeah, he went another inning after that. So he gave up 4 runs in 2 innings, walked 3, 5 hits in 2 innings, which was super concerning. And he wasn't much better last time out. He faced Arizona, right?
Yeah, because he's pitching tonight. So
Yeah. And that was 5 runs in 5 innings.
yeah,
So, yeah, so far not so good there.
I don't. He's another guy that his velocity's been good, but he's just not locating at all. And when he's just missing flat. Like the movement that we normally see with Ranger, whether it's his arm side sinker or changeup or whatever, it's just not there. So he's just, I don't know if it's still injury, if he just didn't have time to like fine tune. Because how many rehab starts did he have? 2, 1 or 2?
It was at least 2. Might have been
Okay.
3, but at least 2.
Well, I don't know if they rushed him back if he wasn't ready yet, but he just doesn't seem as sharp as they needed him to be with the starting pitching problems they already had.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's I'd still probably rather him than the alternative,
Right.
but like it's not as sharp as where they needed him to be with the depth issues that they're already having.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you bring that up. The alternative is worse because the number 5 starter has been nothing but a disaster. They are 1-9 in games started by the number 5 starter, and the one win was that the Reds walk off, like the opening home
Oh God,
stand.
that was
That was the
Easter Saturday.
Yeah, that was the only one. That was the one, as far as I know, because Falter started that game, and the offense came back late. That was actually Falter's best start of the year too. I think he only gave up 2 runs.
Well, the bar was pretty low there.
Yeah, it was a low bar. So yeah, they need a 5th starter. Griff McGarry is just coming back, just worked up to Double-A, I believe. He's made 3 starts there, but he hasn't even gone 9 innings yet.
He's starting tonight.
Yeah, so he could be up. I still think that it needs to be another 2 or 3 starts before he can be legitimately looked at.
I'd say probably late June at best.
Yeah. This Covey guy they got, he wasn't terrible when they gave him the opener. Strom gave up the 2-run home run though in the first. Or was that Brogdon? No, it's Strom. And then he gave up 1 run in 5 innings against a pretty good Diamondbacks offense. And I was like, okay, we'll see. And then didn't even get out of the first inning against the Braves on Sunday. So yeah, he's shot. That's not going to happen. Mick Abel, still only in Reading, kind of inconsistent there so far. I don't think he's a legit option. I don't know. They don't have no one. Them kind of throwing everything they had into Andrew Painter being the guy right away is backfiring mightily right now.
Yeah, here's my thing with Abel. I get it. You're kind of in the window to compete as far as like you got to go all in, you got to do these things. But for the sake of running a good organization, you have 90% of your team under contract for like next year. As far as I'm not saying like punt this year away, like don't do what you have to do to win, but like you see pitching prospects get messed up so badly when they get rushed. Like you look at Jack Leiter in Texas. Like he was a surefire prospect. He was as close to a safe thing as you could get with a pitching prospect. And they drafted him and immediately threw him in Double A. And he's kind of not an afterthought because it's only been 2 years, but his ERA is like his career ERA is like 5.7, and you drafted him fourth overall. Like when pitching prospects get rushed, especially when command's the problem, like they can be damaged for like the rest of their career. And Abel's only 21, maybe 22, and he's slowly progressing, and you're starting to see signs. He just had a 10 strikeout start, his last start. Like he's starting to get there, and he's jumping up prospect leaderboards, and Fangraphs before the end of last season had him ranked above Painter. Like if you're trying to develop a winning organization where depth as far as pitching goes is a strong suit, you can't just rush a guy up because your fifth starter has been bad for 2 months.
Yeah, that's true. And I was going to kind of bring this up in terms of, we were talking about that crazy trade deadline stuff where the Phillies could trade Nola to reload the farm system and then turn around and trade for a Shane Bieber or a Dylan Cease. But kind of to that point, because we don't think Nola is going to be here next year, at least with, how far apart they were on the contract and his numbers so far this year, you really can't afford to screw up these pitching prospects you have for the long term, because you're going to need at least two of Abel, Painter, McGarry to be legitimate baseball starters in the majors. So they kind of do have to be patient with those guys because they do need that long-term outlook here, where it's not just about this year with these guys, because we think Nola will be gone and they're still going to need a fifth starter anyway for next season, and then Wheeler's off the books after that year and too. So yeah, they, as bad as we kind of want a band-aid here for this fifth starter, I don't think it's going to be internal. At least, maybe Gary, but
the only guy I'd consider trading, I wouldn't touch Bieber for Abel. I'd consider Cease, but I'd probably throw Griff at them for Griffin, another top 8 guy, maybe like a Griffin, a Rojas or something. I don't know if they do that, but I'd try and keep Abel out of trade talks, but I don't know how likely that'd be for Cease because I think he has at least 2 years of team control left.
Yeah, I know last year at the deadline, and we talked about this, Dombrowski said those 3 guys were off limits. I think the difference might be that kind of the big pitching names for last season were rentals. Rondon with the Giants. Castillo that went to the Mariners. I don't think he wasn't a rental, right?
He was, but as soon as he got traded, the Mariners signed him to an extension.
Okay, I kind of thought that. Okay.
The only one who wasn't was Tyler Mahle.
Right.
Okay. And he got hurt his first start, so.
Yeah. So I could see why last year it wasn't, those guys were off limits, but this year we'll see, because some of the guys that might become available are going to be guys that have a few years of control. So we'll see there. Also, these guys are a year older now, though, and are closer to making an impact at the majors. So that could also make them untouchable. It's a double-edged sword there, I think. But yeah, the idea of maybe trading Nola and getting something back just to have something in the farm system if you go after someone else would be kind of interesting. But at the same point, then you don't really fill a spot. You fill a long-term spot, I guess, but you don't fill a spot for a playoff run this year.
And if we're talking about as far as like trading young pitchers in the system, I feel like in the last 2 years in general, like our development as far as like rookie or like low farm system guys go, the pitching side's been like insane. Like Ben Brown last year kind of came out of nowhere to this high strikeout guy. And then was it Alex McFarland that we drafted 2 years ago? All of a sudden he's throwing like 100 with insane changeup movement. And then the one, I don't want to mess up his name. Was it O'Caring or whatever?
I'm looking at it right now. Or Orion Kirkering. I think it's Kirkering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers that he's been putting up as far as like velocity and spin rate have been like insane, and it wasn't like that when we drafted him. So they're starting to kind of turn these. And Griff was the same way. Griff was a fifth rounder that kind of just, after 1 year in the system, just gained insane movement on his spin rate upwards and stuff like that. So we're starting to get the metrics in there that support our ability to develop pitching. So again, these guys are getting closer to the league if they want to help us, but at the same time, we've kind of established as an organization the precedent that we can have confidence in developing young pitching. So if they do want to potentially trade one of these guys for Cease, they have the confidence that they could draft a new guy and develop them to a capable pitcher.
Yeah. Kirkering, a bullpen guy all the way so far this year. 18 innings, 27 strikeouts, only 4 walks, only 6 hits. It's been low A and then high A. So not, the greatest competition, but I think there's a pretty good chance he's in the bullpen to start next season. They seem to really like him. So yeah, definitely a lot more arms out there in the system than usual, which is nice to see. A couple of these hitters too, like Crawford's off to a pretty good start, 306 in Clearwater. So that him being good also makes Rojas expendable. We were talking about like you just brought up for trades. So yeah, I do expect Rojas to be thrown in some trades here.
Even if you kind of miss on Crawford, you do have Marsh under contract until 2026 or 2027, and then you could kind of reevaluate that. Like you have 4 years left of him at least, and Rojas is young, but not like one of these. I don't even know. It seems like people look for prospects at such a younger age now than they did like 3 years ago after the rise of like, obviously Rojas is nowhere near the Acuna and Soto level, but like all these hitters, they're like, oh, you're 23, that's a little old for the top name guys.
Yeah, I see that. Also one of Castellanos and Harper has to play right field for the next 3 years. So, really, they don't need to rush it with an outfield guy right now, I don't think. Although, one thing I was going to say, this Harper first base thing hasn't been brought up recently, I don't think. Like, it was brought up, but it hasn't really continued with steam. But if they decide to go that route, I could see them trading for an outfielder and getting Schwarber the hell out of left field because his arm is bad. Everyone's running on them right now. It's not
His
good.
glove's bad too.
Yeah. And El Pache is starting a rehab assignment soon. So if he hits like he was hitting before he got hurt, we'll see. Maybe then they don't, but I don't know. Derek Hall also rehab assignment, so that'll be an interesting dynamic what they do with him when Cody Clemens has honestly not been that bad on both sides of the ball.
I think I'm a Cody Clemens guy.
Yeah, I think he's better than Hall. I think he's a better all-around player.
Yeah, I think he gives you better at bats.
Yeah,
at
and
least
he gives you more defensively. I also think he's a guy you could pinch run if you need to. Obviously, Derek Hall is not that at all. So, yeah, and Clemens could give you some versatility too. When he was brought over here, I think second base was also brought up as a position he's played before, maybe corner outfield. I'd have to look, but I know it wasn't just strictly first base. Yes, he's pitched a lot. Yeah, that's bad. So 3-game series with the Mets tonight. They got it. They got to find a way to win this series, I feel like. Interesting thing here. MLB put up like if the playoffs started today or whatever. The Phillies, the Mets, the Cardinals, and the Padres were not in it. These are 4 teams that made the playoffs last year. These are 4 teams that a lot of people have picked to win the World Series this year. And right now, the Braves are the best of the bunch at 500, I think. I think they're somewhere around there, 28 and 28 maybe they might be.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so clearly not good at all. Yeah, the Braves, 27 and 27 are the Mets. 5 games behind the Atlanta Braves, who lost to the Oakland A's last night. The Phillies are 25 and 28, 6.5 behind the Braves. And then wild card, San Diego. San Diego's 24 and 29. And St. Louis has the second worst record in the National League, only a game better than the Nationals
I
at
think
24 and 32.
that's one team whose starting pitching has been worse than ours, maybe. I don't have any numbers to back that up, but it just seems like every time I look at the box score, it's like 5 or 6 runs, if not more. I've seen a bunch of double-digit games they gave up.
They are. The Phillies are 23rd in ERA. The Cardinals are 18th.
Oh, wow. Well,
yeah, not too much of a difference, but
yeah. The Dylan Covey 5-run first inning inflates that a bit.
Yeah, I still think the Phillies numbers, like I look at it's funny. Some of the guys coming out of the bullpen, they still have like ERAs, like Kimbrel and Soto still have like ERAs near 5, and it's all because of that Texas series still.
Yeah, the Texas series messed a lot up.
It's because everybody was giving up 4 runs without getting an out, and it just.
How many did the Braves score in the first the other day? 7?
7.
And I was like watching the broadcast, and they were like, "Yep, or on the radio, they were like, "Yep, that's the second highest inning the Phillies have given up this year." And I was, "What the hell?" But it was the second game in Texas when Wheeler gave up 9.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, bad start.
At least I guess they're a wagon. Texas is a wagon, so
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
feel a little bit better about that. Their offense is really good.
Yeah, they are probably the best.
Are they?
They are. I think they are statistically the best offense in baseball right now.
I know. I think it was a week ago. They actually passed the Rays as far as run differential.
I do not have the run differential up, but
they were at one point. Let me pull it up. They were at go. I know they're plus triple digits, positive.
They're only a run. The Rays have scored 335 runs. The Rangers have scored 334.
Oh,
they do lead in batting average though. 271. The Rays are 270. Somehow the Nationals are 3rd in batting average. Okay.
Well, we have them next weekend.
Yeah. So, wow, it's funny looking at the offensive team totals because it literally just says Tampa Bay for everything.
Yeah, they're crazy.
That's funny. Yeah, we were talking about this. So the Phillies obviously need to make a run here. They still have all their games with the Nationals. They have all their games with the Pirates, who stink again, which I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah,
they were 20. They were 20-8. They're 26 and 27.
You mean Vince Velasquez isn't always going to pitch with a sub-3 ERA?
Yeah, and 43-year-old Rich Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy concept.
Fun. That was funny. Yeah, they're shot. They're out of the picture. They still have all their games with the Pirates, all their games with the Nationals, 3 with the A's, 3 with the Royals, 3 with the Tigers, which is coming up, 3 with the Guardians, who like stink, but if you face Bieber, you're screwed, I guess.
McKenzie might be back by then too. He's been rehabbing.
Yeah. 3 with who's the other crappy team? There's another one. I can't think of who it was.
When do we play Oakland?
Yeah, 3 with the A's. Still have 3 with the A's. That's not for a little bit, I don't think. And they still have to go to Chicago, who stinks.
I think looking at the schedule before the season, I want to say that the window is kind of. I think you and I talked about it. We said it was around, like, kind of sandwiching the All-Star break, like a little bit before and a little bit after. It was kind of a pretty favorable stretch, at least it looked to be.
So starting on June 27th, they go to Chicago. Then they come home and play 3 against the Nationals, but then they have 3 on the road against Tampa Bay and then 3 on the road against Miami. Then after the All-Star break, they have that weird 4 games in 3-day series against the Padres.
Yeah,
and they play Milwaukee. Yeah, then they play Milwaukee. Then they go to Cleveland, but then come right back home to play Baltimore, which is weird. And then they go to Pittsburgh and Miami again. No, okay, I know what it was. It was early August. They play the Royals, the Nationals, and the Twins on a homestand.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be
Yeah,
a good chunk of wins there.
yeah. So
Because those teams just don't have pitching, and they're gonna.
no.
That's right after the deadline. They're gonna sell.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I brought the Phillies need to take advantage of the fact that one of the Padres and Cardinals probably aren't going to make the playoffs the way things stand
Hmm.
right now. We were talking about the Diamondbacks. As long as Zach Gallen stays healthy, they're probably going to make the playoffs because their offense is actually literally pretty deep. That was a
Yeah,
really good trade they made with Toronto to send Varsho there for Moreno and Teoscar Hernandez. Deep in their lineup a lot. And then, Corbin Carroll just got better.
yeah, he's a
So,
stud.
yeah. So that helps. Walker didn't do a lot when we saw him, but he's had pretty good numbers this year too. And Marte is a pretty good player. So I don't see them going anywhere actually, which is a little shocking. If they do have a downfall, it's because their bullpen sucks outside of Schaefer.
Yeah, and I mean the rest of the rotation, they have two rookies. One kind of carved us up a little bit, but they have two rookies in the back, and I I don't know. Merrill Kelly's having a pretty good year. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how sustainable that is. Like he's always been a fine pitcher, but I think he's kind of his numbers are outperforming who he actually is, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long that keeps up. But yeah, I think it's unless the Padres get insanely hot, like I think that it's still going to be two wild cards from the NL East as long as like the Phillies start playing better. I imagine it'll be probably the Dodgers and Cardinals, the Central winner, and then the three teams from the NL East, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Milwaukee's not bad so far. We'll see. We'll see how they hold up.
If you tell me that we are the last wild card again, and we get the Central Division winner, sign me up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the Brewers' offense stinks.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of does pay, I think, to be the sixth wild card over the fifth, the fifth or the fourth. So because there's really no difference between those two.
Yeah,
So all right, I see that. So yeah, a lot to do though. We're around the time. Yeah, we are at the time that the Phillies turned around last year, and that team was 8 games under 500 when they turned it around. This team is 3. This team is healthier, I think. I think that's fair to say they're healthier. Jose Alvarado is going to be back soon. Derek Hall, which we might not be on the roster, going to be back soon. Christian Pesce, going to be back soon. Hopefully Suarez, kind of gets going a little bit. But other than that, they've been pretty healthy so far. So I think that might
Alvarado's
give them.
throwing the hitters tomorrow, I believe, and they said that
Yeah.
he'll probably go on a rehab assignment after that as long as it goes well. But I think Matt Gelb said that it looks pretty good on that front, so that'll be a big boost
for sure. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Big series starts tonight. By the time you hear this, a game will be in the books. But yeah, hopefully get this series, and then I don't know. The Nationals can apparently hit, so we'll see how that goes in DC. But that's gonna do it for this episode. We'll see you next time.